Welcome to the second episode of Random Musings. I'm your host, Jay, and last week I touched a little bit on the investigative reporter Danny Casolaro. Uh, at his funeral, a military officer showed up in full dress and placed a medal on, Danny's casket, saluted, and left. Only later did the family and friends realize that nobody knew who this man was, nor why he would be presenting Danny with a medal. So that's just one little final little tidbit of information that I neglected last week. But this week, I'm going to touch a little bit on a couple of conspiracy theories that I've been seeing out there lately that have kind of taken over Godlike Productions and the Lunatic Outpost for quite some time, actually. The first one is the Mandela effect. And this one I actually have experienced personally. It has to do with the Berenstain Bears, although apparently I have been saying it wrong my entire life. Apparently it's the Berenstain, or Stain Bears, spelt with a A-I-N, not an E-I-N. Now, I can clearly recall these books being in front of me and being spelt the way I remember. I've gone back and actually located some of my books from my childhood, and they are all spelled with the A-I-N spelling instead of the E-I-N spelling. At first I thought maybe it's just my memory. I was rather young reading those books, so that's what I kind of chalked it up to. However, apparently I'm not the only one who's experienced this particular phenomenon, and I'm kind of leaning toward possibly that some of the theories out there are correct. One of them being that perhaps something happened in an alternate timeline or an alternate time stream, however you want to look at it, and a group of people from that time stream were transplanted here. And although it could be that just a large group of people all have the same faulty memory, I kind of find that a little hard to believe. One or two people, yeah, it's probably in their head, but from what I've gathered and from what I've read, it's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people all have the same memory. And I find it rather hard to believe that a group of people that large could all be mistaken. The second one that I've seen and have no idea where and how these people exist, but this one is the flat earth theory. I cannot wrap my head around someone believing the earth is flat with all the evidence to the contrary. Now I know that's kind of contradicting myself towards my previous statement about the Berenstain Bears or the Mandela effect. However, I just don't see how anyone could possibly believe that the earth is flat with all the pictures that we have and all the scientific data that we have, and not to mention a flat circular earth. I can't see how it would even work in physics. And a lot of the flat earth believers actually contend that all the other planets in our solar system are round. But Earth, for some reason, is flat. And I've looked at it, and I've seen the evidence they presented, and I can see where someone would draw those conclusions, that the Earth might actually be flat. I personally don't believe that's how it is. But People are free to believe what they want. I just don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will. You'd have a better time convincing me that the moon landings were a hoax, were more than ever convincing me that the Earth is flat. Although there is something going on with our solar system or our galaxy as a whole, because I tend to believe that something has actually happened to our sun. I personally remember a sun that was bright yellow in the sky, and it was warm and inviting. Lately, I'd have to say right around 2000, 2001, somewhere in there, is my earliest recollection that the sun had changed. The sun is now white, and it's harsh to look, even in a general direction. Pardon me. And I don't know what's happened to our sun. And I miss the old sun, and I wish it would come back. My family has always had experiences that define normal explanations. Beginning with my father. My father was born in the into the 1950s, and ever since he was about 12 or 13 years old, up until he was in his early 20s, he experienced what he called light dreams. Now, these dreams to him were not just dreams. He claims that he feels like some entity or what have you actually physically removes him from his room at night, and he has these experiences where he has traveled to places that he's never been, and later on when he's actually been to these places, people recognize him and know him by name, and the places that this happens in are exactly as they appear in his dreams. When he was younger, he used to get in trouble for sneaking out of his room at night. And this is confirmed by my grandmother, his mother, that she says that he would be gone in the middle of the night from his room. And my dad claims that he never left. But these beings or whatever actually physically remove him from his room. My mother has confirmed certain aspects of this as well, and my father has brought things back with him that he's either been given or purchased or what have you in these dreams, and when he wakes up in the morning, he'll have the said item, and he has no idea where it came from. And my mother's confirmed this as well, that she's witnessed this. And I see no reason why any of my family would have the reason to lie about something like this, let alone tell me about it and be a lie. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm inclined to believe that it's probably true. My aunt was a Wiccan. She's no longer practicing, as I understand it. I myself am also Wiccan. My father relays stories about my aunt and him being able to move the eye of the Ouija board without actually touching it. I mean, their hands above it, not actually touching it, and the piece will move. So I've never really asked any more about it, although I probably should, because I don't know the questions asked or the answers received. I've experienced several unidentified flying objects in the sky. Uh, Nothing has ever been more than a unusual light in the sky. I have experienced not missing time. Well, I guess in a way it's missing time, but it's also gained time. For example, I live roughly an hour away from my parents. According to every online map that I have, it says it takes 54 minutes, between 54 and 57 minutes to go from my home to my parents' home. Now, I traveled the interstate, and I have cruise control. I set the cruise control at 5 miles over the current speed limit. And so, okay, I'll get there a couple of minutes earlier than what Google Maps and all them say, because those are all based on traveling the speed limit. But several times in recent history, within the last few months, I've driven home from my parents' house and arrived back at my home with between 35 and 40 minutes. The average speed on the interstate, or the speed limit on the interstate currently, is 60 miles an hour. I travel at 65 miles an hour, and the distance is roughly 60 miles. So I am at a complete loss as to how I'm cutting 25 minutes, between 25 and 15 and 25 minutes off of a drive that should take almost an hour. I know I'm not speeding because, like I said, I use cruise control on my vehicle, and unless for some reason I have to slow down, I never disengage it. And even taking that out of the equation, I'd have to be traveling somewhere around 80, 90, 100 miles an hour to cover the distance in the time allotted. And I think I would notice, and I think law enforcement would notice me traveling at those speeds. Not to mention I would be pretty well aware that I was passing everything in sight, which is not the case when I drive. So I'm not sure what's happened. I have no explanation for it, and I've posted it on a couple of other sites, and the only possibilities that have been presented to me are wormholes or UFOs picking up my car and me and my vehicle and transporting us that far. Both sound pretty out there, and I'm not quite sure what to believe. Perhaps I'll look into hypnosis or some other way to possibly recover memory if memories exist. I'm not, but if anybody has any ideas out there about what it could be, I'd love to hear your theories. And finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about operating systems tonight. I know in my last broadcast I said that I had upgraded to Windows 10 and I was fairly happy with it. But things had changed where Windows 10 seemed to be just devouring any and all free memory, no matter how much memory I put into the system. And I was quickly running out of usable memory without rebooting the computer. So I switched my system back to Windows XP 64-bit edition, and it has done away with all of the crazy memory usage, and its install footprint is much smaller. And after turning off Luna and setting back to the classic Windows desktop, I'm more efficient with it. The only thing I miss from Windows 10 is Cortana, simply because it was nice to be able to set reminders and alarms for myself. But there is other software out there that can do that under Windows XP. Again, if anybody has any suggestions on that front, please feel free. I don't have much more to cover tonight, although I'm having some issues with recording. I'm sure this because I'm horrible on playback, because I'm having trouble with the microphone tonight. But I will see you guys when I see you. If anybody ever does happen to listen to this, you can check out the website at randommusings.noip.org, and all the previous shows will be listed for download there. And there is a contact us link on the page. And you can reach me via either Facebook or through good old-fashioned email. The website itself probably will look very dated to just about everybody. I've decided to go with a kind of a retro design for it, and to that purpose I've went with using HTML frames. And I know people, if anybody ever happens to look at the website, are probably going to go insane by my use of frames. But for the purposes that I use it for, which is just a simple navigation bar on the side, it seemed like the easiest and quickest way to throw together a very bare bones website. I plan on improving the website over time and adding much more content and much more information. This time, I think I will wrap it up for the evening. And thank you, good night, have a great day.